been excellent from what I've been hearing. So, it's very similar to a Friday speaker series, but just like a note, it will be recorded on their end of it. So, they actually don't have a video feed of us. So they'll just be recording our audio. Pretty much just have your questions ready for the end during the Q&A session. We want to be cognizant of their time. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Mr. Frederick, did I miss anything?
Nope, I think that's good. We'll have a time for Q&A at the end, and I'll get started.
Great. And as students come in, I will probably send a message on here or something. But as of right now, we got 7 students plus myself.
Sounds great.
All right.
All right. So let me know if anything isn't working, and I'll try to address it. But if you can all see my screen, Manufacturing Day. Welcome to Manufacturing Day. Welcome to the Siemens Mobility presentation for quality assurance. I'm the manager. My name is Scott Frederick, and I am the manager of the Quality Assurance Department here in Sacramento on French Road. And I've got several members of our staff that I've asked to participate later to explain what they do and how they got into the profession and what they like about their job and a few other things. So quick overview of our sponsor for today's event, Sacramento Valley Manufacturing Initiative. They are an organization here in Sacramento made up of and organized by and for Sacramento's manufacturers. We're committed to working with educators and industry partners doing events like today and proactively developing vocational, educational, and workforce initiatives and programs. And the efforts of the SVMI are intended, or purpose is really to ensure that the Sacramento area is viewed as a region of manufacturing excellence with a globally competitive manufacturing workforce and manufacturing base. There are some other groups that are involved or part of that collective, Valley Vision, California Manufacturing Network. And at the end of the day, we're sponsoring creators and makers and people that like to get stuff done and to build things. Brief introduction to Siemens Mobility. This is our division within Siemens or company within Siemens. We basically here in Sacramento make rolling stock, which is basically vehicles that roll on rails. So you see pictures of several of the products that we make, along with several of the cities and customers that we serve. Basically, we build light rail vehicles. You can see several of them here, everything running from Edmonton light rail to San Diego, on the far side, Twin Cities and Charlotte. So these are basically several of the customers we have. You can see them scattered throughout the U.S. All of them are pretty much basically build 2 platforms here for light rail, but the look of them are very different, and in some cases the interior seatings and such, those are all customized by the customer. We also make locomotives. As of about 2012 here at the site, Amtrak was our first customer. These are running on the East Coast, electric line, basically up in the Northeast corridor between Boston and Washington, D.C. They are also now buying diesel locomotives from us, Amtrak, and running them both in the Midwest and in California and up in Washington area, and expanding to others as well. On the bottom is a picture of our Florida Brightline, which is basically a train set made up of locomotives, typically 2, 1 on either end, and several coaches in between. And again, this is for a private rail in Florida. You'll see a little bit more on that when I show you a video in a moment. It is basically the 3rd platform that we build here, which is basically passenger coaches. So I'm going to show you a brief video. Hopefully this will all work. Get that up and going. Oops. All right. Are you able to see that? Okay, good. So hopefully the sound comes through too. This is kind of nice overview of what.
Ever wonder how they put trains together? Of course you have. Welcome to the cavernous Siemens train factory.
We're on 60 acres. We have about 600,000 square foot under roof. We put together complete train sets with locomotives, passenger coaches. The whole gamut is done right here in Sacramento, California.
The process starts with piecing together the coaches using 50,000 spot welds. The roof, walls and floor are combined into what's called the cathedral, because already the scale is enormous. Next door, technicians are assembling the bogie. That'd be the wheels and suspension. Now this part is
All right. I'm going to keep going. Looks like I finally got
usually
full screen
below
up.
the platform level, so it's invisible to us as passengers. Then it's on to the paint shop. It's just like the paint shop for your car, only on a rather more significant scale. But this train isn't going anywhere without an engine. And this is it. 16 cylinders, 95 litres of displacement, up to 4,400 horsepower, all coupled up to an alternator at the end. The gorgeous Goliath is craned into a waiting truck. This diesel hybrid produces electricity to not only drive the motors for locomotion, but to provide power to the passenger cars. Speaking of, the cars themselves are coming together next door. They have around 16 miles of wiring, plus picture windows, high ceilings, and comfy seats. These beauties are destined for Brightline, a new privately funded service that will eventually connect Miami to Orlando.
Brightline is the country's first private sector intercity express passenger rail service that we're building to service the major metropolitan areas of the state of Florida.
The Siemens factory can make 4 passenger coaches and 4 locomotives a month, so keep your eye out for the trains in 7 states around the US.
All right, so that's a little bit of an overview of Siemens Mobility, basically the group here. And next I wanted to give you just a brief overview of our quality assurance department. So basically what you saw there were the products we make, in particular a coach. All along the manufacturing process, there are some key elements that need to be checked to ensure they're done correctly. We typically use kind of a 4 eyes principle there, the person who built it, and then we'll have an independent quality assurance inspector come and verify. In some cases, those folks have a very detailed training and certification. In the case of our certified welders. And in other cases, they've got lots of experience from their backgrounds. You'll hear more about that later as I introduce individuals. And the idea, basically our mission is to assure that all those products conform to their specifications. So is the customer getting what they wanted? We strive for customer satisfaction. We try to drive continuous improvement within the group. Our philosophy as far as the quality department is not the police force. We are not here just to write tickets and tell people they built things wrong, but to be a coaching staff, to point out those areas that are not correct, to help the team understand why they're not correct, and to help facilitate the training and the information that's needed by the team members so that they are able to build things correctly. And that's part of our continuous improvement activities and also our employee development and safety. We try to keep an eye out for folks, not only in how they work, but how they work safely. We take responsibility for our work at the end of the day. We put our name on the paperwork and on the checks and on the documentation that goes out with the vehicles, and we are responsible for the vehicles meeting their specifications. Our motto is, it's not enough to do your best. You must know what to do and then do your best. So with that brief introduction to our kind of quality assurance department and what inspectors in general do, I want to introduce a few of our inspectors, and I will, let me introduce them first by name, and then I will kind of go through a series of questions with them. I'm going to unshare my screen and you should be able to see them. I asked them to call in from their where they work, so that you would get a sense not only of what they do as they're talking, but you could also see the environment that they're in. I thought that might be interesting for you. Okay, so our participants today, up first will be Derek Moore. He's an Inspector 2 in our locomotive final assembly area. Bradley Thompson will follow. He's a certified weld inspector in our coach car shell welding area. Then we'll be followed by Raquel Halloran. She is our certified weld inspector team manager for all the weld areas. And lastly, Paul Shake, he's an inspector in our coach railcar final assembly area. So with that, I will turn over to the questions. I will unshare my screen real quick so it's not so confusing. Once I find my button to do that. There we go. Okay, so Derek, you're up first. You want to turn on your camera and unmute? Perfect.
Hey, Scott,
Can you see him? Wesley, can you see him okay? Give me a thumbs up.
Yes, yes, we can. And so the students who also can hear me now, the students, give me a thumbs up on our end. If you can hear everything, you can see everything just fine. You can see Derek right now. Yep, I see all the thumbs. They can all hear just fine. They can see you, Derek.
Nice.
Perfect. All right, then we'll get started. So Derek, how did you get into the quality profession?
Hey, Scott, thanks for the introduction. Yeah, so I got into quality. You know, I spent some time in the Air Force as a crew chief, you know, servicing heavy cargo planes and doing their repairs. I transitioned to the civilian sector in the train manufacturing, and I wanted to do a little more than just assemble and get into the finite details and standards. So yeah, that's where I'm at now.
Excellent, excellent. And next question. So what do you do every day?
As a quality inspector, I support the locomotive final assembly. You can kind of see a little bit here behind me. We got some locomotives up there. I inspect to drawing. I use pretty cool 3D software. I have large scale drawings that I use. I reject non-conforming materials and document and report all my findings.
Excellent. How do you stay safe while you're working? I see a big crane behind you.
Yeah, so there's a lot of heavy equipment behind me. You know, it's good to always be aware of my surroundings, know what's going on, listen to the sounds. I wear, you know, my PPE. I have, you know, steel toe boots, safety glasses. Situational awareness is a huge part of staying safe every day.
Yeah. Hey, just one quick mention, because I just noticed Paul's wearing his mask. Some of the others are not. We practice social distancing and mask wearing here on site when we're near others. To the extent people could spread out and not wear their mask, and most of them are doing that here today. But in other cases, like in Paul's case, he's got folks near him, so he's wearing his mask. Hopefully that won't impact his ability to be heard. All right, so next question, Derek. Who do you work with?
So here in final assembly locomotives, I work with the production managers. Many of the assemblers that actually build these locomotives you see behind me. I have customer representatives who inspect these locomotives with me, and many of the material coordinators that bring the parts in and out of here.
Excellent. And why does your job matter?
Well, customer depends on quality assurance to ensure product conformance and reliability. You know, when we have these contracts, these high-paying contracts, you know, customer wants what they pay for, and quality assurance gives them that peace of mind.
Excellent, excellent. And what do you like most about your profession, your job?
My job is very hands-on. You know, I get to talk and deal with all kinds of people, and just the team effort alone. You know, it's a great feeling. You know, to work with so many different people to complete the goal.
Excellent, excellent. All right, Bradley, you're up next. We'll kind of run through the same types of questions. Everybody see Bradley?
Good morning.
All right, good. So, hey, Bradley, how'd you get into the quality profession?
I originally got hired at Siemens for welding. That was my initial start out here at Siemens was welding. I worked originally in locomotive as a welder. I transferred to light rail, and I eventually took the AWS CWI exam, which stands for Certified Welding Inspector. I passed the exam, and I was able to move up into this position of quality inspector.
Excellent. And what do you do every day?
Every day, I'm visually looking at welds, ensuring that the structural integrity of the welds is up to code with the engineering requests. Either I look at welds with NDT, which would be ultrasonic testing, penetrant testing, or magnetical particle testing. But most of the welds that we look at are going to be using, VT, visual testing.
Great. How do you stay safe while you're working?
Always be aware of your surroundings. Always be cautious of overhead cranes, movements going on the floor. Always wear your PPE and be very aware of where the welders are at, because you can get flash burn and other, sparks thrown in your face from grinders. So always be aware of who's working around you and who you're working with, most importantly. But always be wearing your PPE and be aware of who you're working with.
Okay, excellent. And who do you work with?
So I work with many people, but my day-to-day basis, I do work with production management. I work with welders, engineers, and other inspectors from the customer side to even Siemens side as well. We do all kind of share information and work together to build a product. But yeah, I work with a number of people, but those are the most people I see every day and I do communicate with.
Great. And why does your job matter?
My job matters because we ensure that instructor integrity of the train and of the welds. We do make sure that everything is up to par where it's supposed to be, and just make sure things are where they're supposed to be as well. That's really about it.
All right. Hey, just for I think interest, you're inspecting welds. Roughly how many welds are there on a vehicle, like the locomotive behind you, or one of the coaches you're normally looking at?
Well, on a coach, there's over 50,000 spot welds on the coach, and there's probably thousands of welds. I don't know the exact number, but there's probably 3,000 to 4,000 welds on each train. There's several welds.
Okay. And how long does it take you to typically do an inspection on a vehicle?
It depends on the inspection. An entire car shell body inspection probably takes us about 8 hours from doing VT to PT on a car shell. But entire inspection time from each product that we do inspect, you're looking at probably over 100 to 200 hours of inspections.
All right. So what do you like most about your job?
Definitely the people I work with. And it's definitely a very positive feeling completing a train and being a part of something so massive. I love the individuals I work with and all their experiences, and you get to meet a number of people from different fields and different parts of the world, and there's a lot of going on in this facility. So that's definitely one of my favorite parts of the job. It's just the people you meet. Not only the product is amazing, but also being a part of it as well.
Okay, excellent. All right, thank you, Bradley. All right, Raquel, it's your turn.
All right.
All right. So how did you get into the quality profession?
Well, I started out a long, long time ago as a laborer in the laborers union as a junior in high school. And I saw the inspectors out in the field and I wanted to be one. So I went back to school and became an inspector. And then I worked my way up into the management.
Great, great. And what do you do every day?
So I have a team of 26 inspectors that I supervise and oversee and make sure that they're doing their job right. And I work with quality management to make sure that we're giving them the product that they want.
Great. How do you stay safe while you're working? And how do you make sure your team stays safe while they're working?
I walk around and make sure and check on my team, make sure that they have all their PPE on and make sure that the area is safe. If I see things that are unsafe, I bring it up to our safety committee so that they get that fixed immediately. And then I wear my PPE. I always wear my PPE when I'm walking around, and that's their personal protective equipment. So that's your hard hat if you're under the train, that's your safety glasses, your boots, your earplugs, definitely your earplugs. It's a very loud, noisy place to work.
Yeah. Real quick, there's some other things I wanted you to mention, which is your team sometimes gets on top of the cars. Sometimes they're in scissor lifts. Sometimes they're in up on big structures or platforms in order to see all different parts of the vehicles.
Yeah, so we have fall protection training that they go through. And most of our guys have gone through crane training as well, so that they can be safe when they're on top of the cars. Those cars are very tall, and so they have to have their fall protection, and they have to be very careful on those.
Yeah, it's not quite rock climbing, but it certainly has some elements of that with harnesses and tethers to keep people from falling. Excellent. All right. So who do you work with, Raquel? You mentioned your team, but who else?
Yeah, I work with my team. I work with the engineers on a daily basis. That we have engineers that are on staff here come down if there's any issues with the products, and they help us just find out how to fix those issues. I work with the quality management team to make sure that we're giving them the right product. I make sure I work with the RIs, which are resident inspectors for the people that are purchasing our product for the customer.
Customers.
So, and I make sure that the customer is happy with what he's getting and that he's getting what he's paying for.
Okay, excellent. Why does your job matter?
My job matters because I'm putting children and people on trains, and they're going down the track, and we want to make sure that that's safe for them.
Excellent. What do you like most about your profession?
I like working with people. I like meeting new people all the time. I like building something that you can physically look at and say, hey, wow, we did this in this amount of time and it's done and it's ready to go out there. That's what I like.
Great. All right, then Paul, we'll wrap things up with you. How'd you get into the quality profession?
Well, I'll answer these questions, but the guys have pretty much said everything I wanted to say. So I'm just gonna
All right.
add little things or so. So how did I get to quality profession? I started working at Siemens as a production worker. So I worked for quite a few years as a production worker. You know, hard work, dedication. I built up my reputation, and then Scott Fredericks gave me a shot to become a quality inspector, join his team.
Yeah, my earliest memories of you are you were always up on the roofs of vehicles near my office. Maybe I'll show that a little bit later, but I could see him up on top of the cars regularly. All right. So what do you do every day?
I inspect the coaches every build phase or Q gate, how we call it here.
Can you move just a little bit to the side so people can see the vehicles behind you? You're out on the coach. Yeah. Okay. So you're looking at things that look like that all day. Yeah. Climbing in and
Yes,
out.
sir. Yeah. We inspect the underframe, every build, every piece of equipment we inspect, every little bolt, you know, we physically touch and make sure. Um, Also, we document, like Derek said, we document our findings. We report our findings to either engineering if something needs to be changed in the drawing. We play a role in that as well, and also sending out quality alerts to production. Like Scott said, we're not only policing, we're not only writing people up and for the write-ups, but we also try to make our improvements in product workmanship.
Great. Yeah, and you hear some of the noises in the background there. Great. How do you stay safe while working?
I keep my eyes open. I also report any safety near misses I happen to experience, or I also report any near misses that potentially could happen. If you happen to walk by and see a slip hazard, you're not just gonna ignore it because somebody else, you know, might trip over. And we all want to go back home safe to our families, just the way we came here in the morning. So just doing my part, and obviously following shop rules, which over here we have a lot. So because it's
Great.
so yeah.
Who do you work with every day?
Uh, just like the guy said, you know, managers, engineers, customers, which is the RIs, regional inspectors for the customer. There's another quality assurance here too. So and also obviously working with the quality management and stuff. So
Great. Why does your job matter?
um, our job matters here is because, you know, we're humans. We all make mistakes, and you know, there's gonna be people riding these trains, and we need to make sure that the product is what it's built for, and you know, and make sure the product is doing what it's intended to do. So
Great. What do you like most about your job?
Uh, my most favorite, I think it's when we go during the inspections, you never know what you're gonna find, and it's that hunt for finding things that are wrong, I guess.
Okay. All right. Good. 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 Um, that's pretty much Wesley or Mr. Smith. That's kind of the last of all the inspectors we have. Like to open it up. I think we got a little bit of time left on the class for questions from students or from you.
Of course. All right. So thank you so much for the presentation, and thank you to all the speakers. It was fantastic. And so for the students, we have a small enough group where you can just go ahead and unmute yourselves. I think I'll give you about maybe a minute or so to collect your thoughts. And just like our Friday speaker series, you should each come up with like a question. You have the opportunity to ask whatever question you want about either, something about their career pathway, something about their task, their general work environment, why their personality happens to match with their chosen work fields, anything really. So feel free to go ahead. I'll give you guys a minute to, like I said, collect your thoughts, and then, like I said, just go ahead, raise your hand, and I'll mute you, and then we'll just go from there. And again, thank you, Mr. Frederick. It was really, really informative. It was smooth. I'm glad to have no technical issues on our end.
Good.
So
Good.
I'm glad it's working.
Our practice paid off.
Yeah.
I'm always concerned about that since we're a quality group. We need to make sure we do it right. So.
Right. So are any students right now ready to go with a question? Oh, I see Esley raising her hand. So go ahead and unmute yourself.
So it sounds like they have to check a lot of things. So how do they like keep track of what they check and make sure they don't miss anything?
Great question. Since I'm the moderator, I'll pick who gets to answer that. Hey, Derek, are you on?
Yes, I'm on.
Hey, do you want to field that one?
Sure.
How do you keep track of the things you find?
So we document all of our findings.
You want to turn the camera back on? Oh, perfect. Good.
Yes, we document all of our findings. Whether it be a hard copy or or an iPad or an iPhone, and we have drawings and cool 3D modeling softwares we get to use and double check. Is this bolt supposed to be in the right location, or is this washer right? So yeah, we have many different references we can look at to make sure what we are inspecting is correct, and if we have any questions, we can go back and check up on that.
Perfect. Yeah, we still today use quite a bit of paper recording. We have what we call a problem report. And in most cases, one of the major things the inspectors are doing when they go through a vehicle is they're making notes on a clipboard, and they're putting green tape in most cases on the defect, so it's very visual where the problem is. And then there's a number that correlates between the two, a number on the tape. You can imagine how big the car is, and when you're done, if you just say, well, it was on the left side, that's a lot to look at. So we are in the process of implementing an app-based inspection system. We're actually working with a Siemens product called Bendix. I encourage you all to check it out if you have any interest in that. It's kind of a developer's software tool. And we're developing an app for our phones so that when the inspectors are out, they can take pictures of the defect. They can indicate the location, what component it's on. It all gets recorded and a little workflow behind it that sends it to somebody to get worked, and then they can send it back. So excellent question. Appreciate that.
Great. And Christopher sent his question in. Christopher, do you want to read your question out loud, or do you want me to read your question? Typing right now.
Okay.
A lot of background. Okay, perfect. No worries. Okay, so I'm going to read Christopher's question.
Sure.
Let me know if you can hear me, Mr. Frederick.
Yep.
So
yes,
Christopher's
I can
question
hear you.
is exactly written as this. So your products are sold all over the U.S. I read that your company location was Sacramento. Is your company national, or is it just your customer base that is national?
Excellent question. So Siemens is actually a very large company. And so our origins, we started as a German company in Munich, in Germany. That is actually where the world headquarters is still at for the Siemens, say, family of businesses. Mobility, which is what the group here in Sacramento is part of, is headquartered out of Erlangen in Germany. And then we're part of the U.S. organization. So we are an international company. Many people refer to us as like the German General Electric, although I have read that Siemens, being a German company, has more U.S. employees than Microsoft. So we have a lot of U.S. employees, including here in Sacramento, where we have about 2,000 people working building trains. We have service locations basically at all those customer sites. They typically have service contracts with local Siemens people. There's another division of Siemens that's more in the power generation business. They have a healthcare business called Health and Ears that's part of the Siemens family. So I guess the short answer is we are an international company headquartered in Germany, but we are very much a U.S. company with, I think, 60 or 70,000 U.S. employees, doing everything from building trains to managing buildings to building healthcare healthcare equipment and power plants.
Fantastic. All right.
Great
The
question.
questions are coming in. All right. So Sierra is asking, what career pathway did the presenter take from high school up to now? Maybe my question to that is, which presenter specifically are you talking about, Sierra? But essentially, they're asking about the career pathway. Maybe so, like from high school up to now.
Yes, I can speak a little to that generally, and then if there's a specific presenter, we certainly can refer to them. Generally, the positions that we have as inspectors, we are looking for experienced folks in that profession. So Bradley mentioned he was a welder. He went and he got some extra schooling and extra training on how to inspect the welds that he was making. And as a result of that, he became eligible to work in our department in quality assurance. Paul mentioned he started as an assembler. So he was an assembler actually building, enjoyed the aspects of actually the technical things of, hey, did I build it right? Checking other people, helping other people do their job correctly. So he moved from an assembler into that. So I would say and Derek mentioned he started in the Air Force. Technical training there, worked a bit in industry, found that he really liked the technical aspects of quality assurance, the checking things against drawings, using computers and such. So generally, the inspector position here and in most places, they come up, I'd say, with a high school education, some technical training afterwards. In some cases, some advanced qualifications or certification testing, and then they get into it. My own background is more similar, say, to a quality engineering side of the business. I'm actually an engineer by trade, started as an electrical engineer, industrial engineer, did quality back many years ago in grad school, kind of got in production and manufacturing engineering management, and I've been managing this group for about a year and a half now, but been with Siemens for 20 years in various companies and various groups. So a variety of backgrounds, but fundamentally a real interest in, did we do it right, and how can we help people do it right? Hopefully that answered the question.
Excellent. No, I definitely think it did. All right. So a question from Leticia says, what made you choose to go in this career?
Okay. I can summarize some of the answers from others. I think a lot of them was they enjoyed the technical aspect of it. Hey, are you building? There's prints, and I'm comparing to make sure I did it right. And then also just a desire to help others do well and to make sure that things are right. I generally find that people do well in this line of profession that have an eye for detail. And they have I'd say a personal conviction or the courage to say, hey, this isn't right. So not only do they know it's not right, but they have the courage to say something. And to me, the ideal inspector then takes it a step further, like a coach, to say, okay, I know it's not right. I'm going to say it's not right, but I'm also going to say, here's what I think we could do to make it better.
Wow. All right. And then we have a question from Javier that says, do you recommend apprenticeships or schooling?
If you mean by schooling like a university type schooling or such, I had the advantage. Well, I'm a parent. I've got 2 kids, and I also spent some time living in Germany and seeing how their school system worked. And I've become a firm believer that it's largely what the individual is interested in. Not everyone is interested in, say, being in more of an office environment in front of a computer, doing analysis in a cubicle kind of environment. That typically tends to be the folks that I would encourage to do the university tract, because most of those end up being office type jobs. If you like working with your hands and building things, there are certainly some professions like mechanical engineering or such. But again, if you have an engineering degree, you're more likely to be on a computer than actually building. So I would recommend an apprenticeship program, or the military has some great training, or a trade school, something that gives you a differentiable skill. And again, just from a personal experience, my son did not like sitting in the classroom. He liked using his hands. He's just finished culinary school. So he went to school, got special training, and is now I guess an entry-level chef. So again, that's a good fit for him. And I think you really need to examine, what do you like to do? College education, if you don't want to use it and work in that environment, it's probably not the best training. There's a big need for electricians and welders and HVAC repair guys and supervisors and inspectors, lots of things that you can do. But I would encourage you to get some training, or work for a company that has a very strong training program to help develop you.
Wow. So, the questions keep coming in. They're fantastic. So,
All
by the
right.
way, for the students, if you want to ask your own question, go ahead and note it in there. Or if you want me to ask the question, go ahead and note it in there too. But I'm just going to go ahead and read it off, this next one. Ashley, would you like to unmute yourself and say this, or would you like me to say this? Thumbs up if you want to say, or just unmute yourself.
You can go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just wondering what your hiring process was, and when you hire someone, do they still have to go through some type of training once they're about to go in to do their job?
Yes, excellent question. So I'll speak some specifics to the inspector job, and also some general ones just to here in Sacramento. So we have a variety of professions here. The quality assurance one I'll start with. We typically hire one of 2 paths. We will hire an internal candidate, who typically has been an assembler or a welder with some additional training, or they have demonstrated after that they know how to build it right, and they've got the experience to be an inspector. So those folks typically would start in those professions through a partner we have. The name of the company is Akara, and they are a contract employment service. So they basically they go out and recruit for us. We typically hire through there. People spend 6 months to a year working for them. Then Siemens would hire them. So there'd be a couple of years of what I'd say kind of growth in their career, or their skill set, typically before we would hire them. We also have hired some inspectors directly through this agency, that have been inspectors elsewhere. So maybe we had one who worked at actually one of our customers at Sacramento at the transportation group there. And so he came over with a lot of experience outside of work. Had hired somebody else a few years back from Davis, who worked on inspecting buses on their bus line over there. So typically we hire experienced folks. We generally hire for these positions through an agency. We have engineering positions as well, and others. Those typically are out college recruiting and going that route, or they're recruiting and hiring through many of the different job services that are out there.
Excellent question.
So if you're interested in a job here, let me know, and I'll make sure that we get the information to you on how to apply.
Oh man, School of Engineering and Sciences students have a fantastic, you know what I mean? They have access to so many things that, like, I'm just thinking to myself, I wish I went to this school, you know, and just like every time I hear one of these, I'm just like, man, these students have some opportunities. Yeah, no, for sure. Great. Do I have any more questions? People haven't gotten questions from. Sophia, questions. Katie, questions. Anything? Go ahead and mute yourself or send it to me. We definitely still have a little bit more time to ask some questions. Give me a second to type those out. Feel free to just unmute yourself if you have a question. Any students who've already asked a question, feel free to ask another question. We have a panel of amazing experts. Mr. Frederick has been going into wonderful detail about everything. So, Javier, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question. Do you ever get to travel to other facilities, or do you just work at one facility?
Great question. Generally, we spend our time here in Sacramento. That said, I can speak just for my career within Siemens. I've had a chance to work and live in Germany. I worked at another Siemens facility over in Concord, basically the Bay Area, before I came here. I'll occasionally go to other locations for business trips. Like I said, we have several throughout the U.S. within mobility. We have some in Kentucky, some back in Pittsburgh I've not visited yet. And others in different worldwide locations. So we have on
how about the inspectors, Scott? I don't know if
we
Paul
have
or Derek
yeah, or you want me to have them answer?
Yeah.
I'd say I don't know if I've sent any of them anywhere yet, but I know we have done that in the past. Anybody want to answer? I'll let you guys jump in if you want to say.
I've been can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I've been to Florida when the project with the coaches, the Bright Line.
Great.
So I've been there for a few months, few weeks.
Was that as an assembler?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
They've sent me out there to help out.
Okay.
For the guys working up there.
Okay. I know some of our weld inspectors. I don't know if Bradley, you've had a chance to go anywhere, but we have on occasion sent weld inspectors out to the areas if they were doing welding at one of our customer sites. Then they potentially, if they needed help, we might send them.
Don't we have a project in Ankara, Turkey right now that we might need to send inspectors to?
I've not received the request yet,
The
but it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, we have a.
I just want to know if Bradley's got it. Bradley, do you have a passport?
Not current at the moment, but it's something I could probably get here shortly.
Hey, so maybe as a quick introduction, Mr. Smith, Kevin McGrew is our Director of Quality. I have a dotted line for mine. I'm kind of the operational arm of the quality operations here in Sacramento. Kevin is, I'd say, kind of determines what and where we do things, and we're kind of the who and the when. And so Kevin is been with Siemens for a very long time. He's also worked at many facilities. He's got an engineering background as well. Probably mention a little bit more of that, but he's been in the quality arena for a long time. You want to say anything else, Kevin?
I completed 2 days ago 34 years with the company. But I mean, the beauty of our organization is it takes so many different skills to build something as complex as a modern rail vehicle. So like Derek, having worked now for years in the locomotive area, he's helping us get our line started back up. And we're producing we're planning to produce one locomotive a week. That's a lot going on. And I don't know if Derek got a chance to really explain, what's coming at him every day, all the different inspections. I'm sorry I didn't catch all of your presentation, but that's the beauty of it. I mean, every day you've got normal things that are going, but it's always additional problem solving. You have to be creative. And that might be something that we ask Bradley or Paul or Derek to give an example of the creativity they have to bring to their job. Derek, would you like to take that one?
Oh, hey, Kevin. Yes, I can. Creativity for my job. Well,
why don't you mention a recent quality issue you've had and how you kind of had to figure it out?
Yeah, well, yeah, like Kevin mentioned before, we do have daily inspections that take hours upon hours a day. Recent quality issues. Right now, we have let's see, we have some issues with so many coming off the top of my head.
I've got one that happened recently, Derek. I understood we have high power on these locomotives, 483 phase, and some of the conductors are about 1.5 inches in diameter. And I heard some of them were cut too short on a locomotive recently. What did you do? Did you just splice in a new wire, or what happened? What had to happen?
Oh, absolutely not. With these high voltage cables, we can't just splice in new wires. So those cables had to be replaced entirely. And we're talking some very long cables that go 60, 100 feet long throughout the length of the locomotive. But yes, that's correct. With our new our via rail contract, we had some cables that were about 2 feet too short, so we weren't able to connect to where we needed them to be. And that just comes from a habit of cutting cables to a certain length. People get in these habits of knowing their job, and then when something else new comes, we have to be prepared for that change.
So they were cutting it for one customer, and then the other customer had a different routing because of a different box or a different design.
Exactly. Yes.
How many different locomotives customers do you have right now in locomotive?
Let's see. We have Caltrans. We just got rid of our NCTD, our North County.
That's San Diego, right?
San Diego, correct. Yeah, we just shipped the last of San Diego. We have a Virgin Brightline, which is Florida. Via Rail, that's Canada. And then Amtrak, which is here locally. So 5, 6 different contracts here.
So like one of them, one in line after the other can be a different customer. You have to understand the different requirements.
Can you move your camera around a little bit? All the
Oh, yeah,
different
we can see
colors are
some in the
basically different
background.
customers. Yeah, we did a little earlier, but I don't know if we caught all of them. Can you spin it all the way around, Derek, or are you kind of locked in on that side? I know on the other side you had.
Yeah, so right here we have our Amtrak, our Caltrans.
Well, that Amtrak black one, that looks like a different coloring. What's going on?
That's correct. Yeah, that's the anniversary edition Amtrak vehicle. That's our 100th Charger and the 50th anniversary of Amtrak.
Very nice.
And then here's our regular blue Amtrak here with another inspector in front of it. And then we have our Brightline over here as well. You can kind of see it coming to shape as.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's our locomotive final assembly.
Yeah, it's a pretty colorful factory with all the different customers now that we've got a pretty large mix in all the areas. Any other questions, Mr. Smith?
Yes. I was going to say thank you, everyone, so much. And please let us know if we're going over time at all. But we do have a few more questions that came in. And again, the level of detail that you guys are doing, the students, it's incredibly valuable. So thank you very much. So Sophia asks, does it get stressing at times to inspect everything? And then as a follow-up, are there deadlines for finishing the locomotives?
Hey, Raquel, are you still on the line? I'm going to send that one your way.
Yes, there are deadlines. And yes, it is stressful. We have sometimes we have things that are not ready, and we know that has to be out at the end of the week. That means we work overtime our production welders work overtime to make sure, and sometimes we're working Saturdays and Sundays so that we can get that vehicle out by the end of the week.
Can you describe the last week? It was the end of our business year. Our business
Last
year
week
ends
was-
the end of
yes.
September. And so there was a lot of pressure to get a lot of things done by the end of September. And our job is to make sure that they get done correctly and that they're done completely.
So there's a little bit of stress on my team to make sure that they check every aspect of that vehicle and not let it go out, even if we're having pressure put on us until it's ready. So, but we had most of my team worked Saturday and Sunday, at least 8 hours each day last week to make sure that everything was done.
Yeah. And again, we don't work every Saturday and Sunday. Actually, Sunday is very rare for us. We do, especially pre-COVID, did frequently work Saturdays as an opportunity to catch up. But yeah, our fiscal year end is it's kind of like the end of the season. It's like our Super Bowl. We're all in it, and we're trying to get everything past the finish line.
You know, one thing I would just add, when we talk about quality assurance or quality management, nobody goes to school and says, I want to do quality. In fact, you don't really usually think about it. But it's a role that pretty much every company has. And at the very base of it, it is what happens when. So we're there to try to prevent bad things from happening. And if bad things do happen, we are the ones that help get it back on track, if you will. So what I love about quality assurance and quality management is every day is a little bit different. Some days you're working with a customer. Some days you're working with a supplier issue. Some days you're working with project management, sometimes with engineering. Every day brings something different. You'd think, oh, well, you're going to have the same problems all the time. And even like Bradley or Raquel that do inspection of welds, it's always something different. It's just, not always, but quite often it is something different. Very rarely do you have a problem that is, we don't need to do anything different. So you're constantly having to tweak your process, learn new things, because the level of quality keeps going up. Our customers expect more reliability, and what it means is the trains break down less. So we have to figure out how to make the product better and how to make the processes that make the product better. And that's what these guys are doing every day. I would just say maybe Paul or Bradley might just give an example again of a weld issue or
how about the last time you were surprised? The last time you were surprised by a quality issue.
That's right, Bradley. What do you got?
Wow.
Well, not every inspection is the same. Every inspection is going to have its own little tweaks and differences to it.
Yeah.
Every time a new customer comes in the mix, you have an inspection called the FAI, which stands for First Article Inspection. So every time that rolls around, the inspection process is much longer and much more crucial because every dimension of every part and every little nick and cranny is inspected. So yeah, every inspection is not the same. There's always differences. You have to learn to kind of adapt with new things that are going on. Maybe there's missing parts or missing things that belong to the train. So the inspection continuously changes. You have new welders or new people on the floor, and you have to help kind of teach them and point them in the proper direction of what we are looking for here at Siemens. Not everyone's going to be up to speed with everything that we're doing here. There's some people, have been worked here for years, and there's people just starting on the floor today. So there's a constant moving of the floor and people learning every day.
And I just wanted to add something real quick too. And if during our inspections we do find things that are an ongoing issue, we hunt it down. We make sure the other person who keeps making the same mistake, make sure it doesn't happen again. We show him, tell him, explain to him what he's doing wrong, and if he needs proper, and if he needs proper, if someone needs to show him how to do it the right way, we're gonna get that to him.
Yeah. I think one of the things that that reminded me of that sometimes is a surprise for us is when we find something, it doesn't stop there because we're building many locomotives, many light rail. So the questions that are asked after we get through the immediate issue is, have any other ones had this problem that maybe we missed before? So we need to now go look at perhaps completed or fully assembled vehicles, and now we need to go look for a problem that, hey, did they have them and we missed them, or did we, were we confident that we caught all the problems? And the other one is the prevention. How do we prevent the next one from being a problem? So there's a lot of that adds a new dynamic to things. Even though it may be the same problem, you may find it in a different place or in a different location in order to need to find a solution. All right. I don't know what time your class ends. I think we're coming up on an hour.
I think we are kind of going over on time. So
yeah.
If I could just ask Scott, if all of your team would turn their cameras on quickly, I'd like to get everybody on the screen here for a second. I'm going to do a screenshot, and I really appreciate you all participating in National Manufacturing Day. Any last comments from
Derek,
School of Engineering? Derek?
There you go. There he goes.
There we go. Great. Any last comments from your side, School of Engineering and Science?
Right. So thank you again, everyone, so much for your time. It's been incredibly valuable. And, I want to end on this kind of last question. A lot of it was addressed, but the one thing I do want to end on is, how should students represent their engineering experience on the resume when applying for internships? So I'll read it again. So how should students represent their engineering experience on the resume when they are applying for internships? Because the group we have here are either 11th or 12th graders.
Okay. Let me jump on that first one. And I would say that I would encourage not just to say list the classes that you've taken, but since you're early in your careers, you don't have a lot of experience, but you certainly have learned certain things, or what did you learn from that experience? I would highlight things like projects, or perhaps special awards if you got an award for something, or a project you really enjoyed doing and that had some aspects that you learned from. I would treat it almost like, it's the highlight reel for your education. And I would try to present that, again, it's a written format, but try to present, again, not just listing the classes, but what specific projects did you do? What did you learn? What are some of the skills maybe that you picked up that you could apply to something else? Kevin, you want to add anything else to that?
Oh, I think you did a great job.
Okay. All right.
Great. So thank you so much for your time. For the students, go ahead and unmute yourself, say thank you, give me some thumbs up, give me something. Again, everyone's time here. Thank you so much. It was incredibly valuable. So go ahead, the students, yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And happy Manufacturing Day.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Great.
All right.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you,
I'm
everybody.
going to end the recording now. Yep.
That's right.
So for the students on our end, go ahead and just sit tight for like 1 second, and then I'll let you guys go in just a second. Mr. Frederick, is